Did you know that millions of people were unaware of the quiet, powerful faith of Christian celebrities until after their deaths? From Whitney Houston's hidden prayers to Billy Graham's refusal to accept fame's riches. Here are 20 things we learned about Christian celebrities after they passed away. The room Whitney Houston tried to keep holy. When Whitney Houston died in 2012, people all over the world were sad. Her voice was famous, but there was another part of her life most didn't see. In her house, in places like her bedroom and kitchen, there were Bibles. These Bibles were not just decorations. The pages were folded, written on, and sometimes had tear stains. Whitney wrote prayers in them and marked special verses. She even put little notes between the pages. Her faith was quiet, but real. People close to her said she always packed a small Bible when she left home. She kept it with her, even backstage before shows. She asked her team to tape Bible verses on the walls in her dressing room. When things felt too hard, she sat in silence and read scripture. Some nights, Whitney would walk around for hours, reading Bible verses out loud. She believed those words had power. Friends remembered her calling them at night just to pray. Even when life was messy and fame was stressful, she held on to her faith. She didn't talk about it in public. She lived it every day. In her last year, something changed. Her mom, Sissy Houston, said Whitney started going to Bible study again. She wanted peace and forgiveness. She even started planning a project to share her faith. One of the last songs she sang was "His Eye is on the Sparrow." Now it feels like a message she left behind. 2. Billy Graham and the price he never took. When Billy Graham died in 2018, many people remembered him as a kind and trusted preacher. But after he passed, people learned even more about the way he lived. All his life, Billy said no to big money offers. Not just once, but many times. TV shows wanted him. Publishers begged him to write books. Movie studios wanted to tell his story. But every time Billy asked, "Will this change my message?" If the answer was yes, he said no. He believed faith should never be sold. His team followed strict rules. He didn't take book money for himself. It went back to the ministry. He didn't decide his own pay. A board did that. If a hotel was too fancy, he paid the extra cost himself. He didn't live in a big house or fly in a private jet. He lived simply and walked the talk. Some stories came out only after he died. His staff said he turned down big money to be in political ads. One group even offered millions, but he refused right away. He believed faith should never be used to win votes. Even when U.S. presidents wanted his support, he stayed neutral. 3. Fred Rogers' secret night habit. He spent more than 30 years talking to kids on TV. Fred Rogers had a kind voice, a soft smile, and always wore a sweater. He made people feel safe. But after he died in 2003, his family found out something most people never knew. Every night, when the world was quiet and dark, Fred did something special. He prayed. But these weren't quick prayers. Fred said names out loud, names of kids who wrote to him, names of strangers who told him their problems, even people he never met. He kept all their names on little papers. He put those papers in boxes and kept them near. Each night, he sat by his bed and read every name. Sometimes he cried. Sometimes he sat in silence. But he never missed a night. Even when he was sick or tired or far away, he prayed. If someone got better, he updated the note. If a child died, he kept praying for their family. He wrote letters, made calls, and helped in quiet ways. He didn't tell anyone. It wasn't for show. It was how he helped people feel less alone. His wife Joanne called it his holy duty. Years later, his family found many boxes full of names, all written by hand. Fred once said that praying for someone was the most personal gift he could give, and he gave that gift every night until he passed away. 4. Lisa Lopes knew something was coming. Lisa, Left Eye Lopes, was full of energy and talent. She sang, danced, and was loved by many. But in 2002, she stepped away from her busy life. She went to the jungle in Honduras. She wasn't on vacation. She was on a deep journey. There, Lisa gave up drinking. She read the Bible and wrote in her journal. She said she felt like God was fixing her soul. Her words were serious. It felt like she knew she didn't have much time left. While in Honduras, she filmed everything. It later became a film called The Last Days of Left Eye. She talked about feeling followed by dark spirits. She said something was waiting for her. Then something strange happened. She was in a car when they hit a boy. He died. His last name? Lopes, just like hers. Lisa was scared. She thought the spirit had taken the boy by mistake. She felt it was meant for her. She said it on camera. And days later, she died in a car crash too. Same trip, same road. After she died, people found out more. She had been planning a Christian youth center. She helped young girls. She wanted her life story to give others hope. In her last days, she wasn't wild. She was calm, ready, like she had made peace with everything. 5. The Hidden Faith of Stephen Twitch Boss. When Stephen Twitch Boss died in 2022, people remembered his big smile and amazing dance moves. He made people happy on TV and on stage, but there was something most people didn't know until he was gone. Away from cameras and fans, Twitch quietly visited small churches across the country. These weren't big, fancy churches. Some had broken roofs and unpaid bills. Some had kids meeting in dark basements. He found these churches by looking online or hearing from others. Then, without saying a word, he left envelopes. No name, no note, just money to help. After he passed, a few pastors said a stranger had helped them. One church said the money came just in time to keep the lights on. Another used it to buy school supplies for kids who had nothing. He didn't want thanks. He gave because he believed it was the right thing to do. People close to him said he also prayed a lot. He asked God how to help others. He never talked about this in public. Even his wife said it was part of his private worship. He didn't want attention. He just wanted to do good. To Twitch, helping others wasn't about being kind. It was about doing what he felt God wanted. Some say he sat in the back of churches, listening quietly, then left before anyone noticed. Stephen Boss didn't just dance for people, he served them, one quiet gift at a time. 6. A Voice in the Wilderness. When Johnny Cash died in 2003, people called him a rebel and a music legend. But behind his black clothes and guitar was a quiet habit that shaped his life more than anything else. Johnny Cash read the Bible from start to finish every year. This wasn't something he started late in life. His kids said he did this long before he was famous. Even when he struggled with addiction or fame, he still read it. His Bible had notes, underlines, coffee stains, and even tear marks. It was part of his daily life. He didn't just read it like a book. He treated it like a friend. He read it early in the morning with coffee. Sometimes, after concerts, he'd read a pocket Bible. Backstage, even with fans cheering. His journals show a man searching for grace. He wrote about forgiveness and justice. One page compared a story from the Bible to one of his songs. Another asked if God still had a plan for him. He wasn't writing for others. He was writing to keep going. After his wife died, he became even quieter. His faith grew deeper. He didn't preach. He just kept reading and praying in silence. After he passed, people studied his Bibles. They said they were like another version of his life story. Johnny Cash never said he was perfect, but we learned this. His strength didn't come from fame. It came from pages he read every day, chasing truth in quiet moments. 7. Behind the brush. He painted peaceful skies and happy little trees. Bob Ross had strong faith. It wasn't something small, it guided his whole life. He saw painting as more than art. To him, it was like a quiet prayer that helped heal the heart. His calm voice and kind words made people feel safe. But it was the peace behind each brushstroke that said even more. His family said Bob saw art as a gift from God. His son, Steve, said that each painting held a bit of something holy. Bob didn't just paint trees and mountains. He painted peace, hope, and a way to connect with something bigger than us. He never gave sermons. He didn't quote the Bible. But people felt something while watching him. That's because Bob believed God didn't always need words. Before each show, he would pray alone, asking for his art to bring calm to others. In his journals, he wrote that he hoped his work would bring light to people's lives. He called God the true artist and said his talent was meant to help others, not to make himself famous. Even when he got sick with cancer, Bob stayed gentle and full of hope. He didn't talk much about being sick. Instead, he kept painting and smiling. He believed healing could come in many ways, in faith, in kindness, and in making something beautiful. His friends said he believed heaven was full of color and peace, a place with no fear. 8. Selena. She died in 1995. Selena Quintanilla was only 23. Her voice, her smile, and her energy made her a star. But behind the fame, she had something even stronger, her faith. After she died, people shared stories that showed who she really was, not just a singer, but someone who walked with God. Behind the bright lights and red lipstick was a young woman with a strong heart. Before every concert, even if she was late or nervous, Selena would stop to pray. She wore a small cross under her clothes. Her family said her faith wasn't for show. It was real. It was part of her. After she passed, fans shared memories that showed her kindness and faith. One girl said Selena held her hand and told her, "Jesus is always with you." Her cousin said Selena had wanted to make a Christian album one day. She wanted her music to show the faith that helped her every day. When she wasn't on stage, Selena liked quiet time with her family. She prayed, read devotionals, and thanked God for her gifts. She never acted like she did it all on her own. She believed her talent was given to her and that she had to use it well. Even with fame all around her, Selena stayed true to her values. She turned down events that didn't feel right. She skipped parties. She spent time with her family and her fans. Her brother said it best. Selena didn't just believe in God. She walked with Him. After she died, people saw her kindness wasn't just part of her image. It came from her faith, her joy, her whole light, her love. They came from something deeper. The hidden bond between Andraé Crouch and the king of pop. When Andraé Crouch passed away in 2015, people remembered him for his powerful gospel songs and kind heart. But years later, something else was revealed. He had a quiet and special friendship with Michael Jackson, the famous pop star. Andraé and his twin sister Sandra often talked with Michael in private. They didn't talk about fame or money. They talked about God, faith, and peace. Michael, even with all his fame, was searching for calm in his life. He didn't want a big show. He wanted real answers. Andraé gave him that without judging him. Michael asked honest questions. He wanted to know about love, forgiveness, and if someone who had made mistakes could still be loved. Sandra later said Michael had started reading the Bible, especially the books of Psalms and Proverbs. He liked the verses that spoke of mercy and second chances. In the music studio, this search showed up too. When gospel music played, Michael would get emotional. Some people said he even cried during some recordings. These weren't fake tears. These were signs of a man who felt lost, even with all the success he had. Andre was one of the few people who treated Michael like a real person, not a pop star. After Andre died, stories began to come out. Friends and people who worked in the studio shared what they had seen. Slowly, people began to understand. Andre wasn't just a singer. He helped people find hope in quiet ways. He brought faith and kindness into studios and homes. He never needed a stage or a crowd. A close family friend said it best. He didn't try to save Michael. He loved him. And through that love, something holy happened. Sometimes, the people who seem the most lost are the ones looking for faith the hardest. Cory Monteith and the prayers no one saw. He was known for playing Finn on Glee. Cory Monteith was seen as talented, funny, and sometimes troubled. But after he died in 2013, a different side of him came to light. A quiet side full of hope and faith. Cory didn't talk about religion in public. He didn't post about it or say much in interviews. But those who knew him shared something important. In his last year, he was trying to get closer to God. He read little books with Bible verses. He went to Christian recovery meetings without telling anyone. And before filming, he sat alone in his dressing room to pray. He didn't do it to be seen. He did it because he needed strength. Faith wasn't easy for Cory. Life had been hard. He had faced problems with addiction since he was young. Fame brought even more pressure. He had been to rehab before, but this time he wanted more than just help. He wanted something deeper. He was trying to trust in something bigger than himself. Someone he had dated said he talked a lot about grace. He didn't say it like a fancy word. He said it like it meant everything. He wasn't chasing fame anymore. He was searching for peace. In his final months, he joined a small group of people who believed in God. It wasn't a big church. It wasn't a show. Just people with questions and hope. Cory didn't feel at home sitting in church pews, but he liked quiet spaces where it was okay to doubt. He carried a notebook. Inside, he wrote prayers, Bible verses, and sometimes songs, little things to remind himself he wasn't alone, that maybe he could be forgiven, maybe he could heal. Cory never said he had it all figured out, but he was asking deep questions, and maybe that's where real faith starts. 11. Behind Prince's door. He was famous for his music, his wild outfits, and his amazing shows. Prince Rogers Nelson made crowds go silent with just his voice and guitar. But when the concert was over and the lights went out, something else became more important to him. It wasn't the music, it wasn't being a star, it was his faith. In the last 15 years of his life, Prince started to live a quieter life. After years of changing music and shocking the world, he found something steady. He became a Jehovah's Witness. He joined a church in Minnesota and used his real name, Prince Rogers Nelson. At church, he wasn't a star. He was just another person. People called him Brother Nelson. He went to Bible study not to be noticed, but to learn. He asked questions and stayed late to understand more. To him, the Bible wasn't just a book. It was a guide. It helped him see life in a new way. After he died in 2016, people learned something surprising. Prince had been going door to door to share his faith. He wore simple clothes and didn't act like a star. He handed out Bible messages with no cameras around. One woman remembered someone giving her a message of hope, never knowing it was Prince. He didn't do it for attention. He didn't allow pictures. He wasn't doing it to be famous. He was doing it to serve. One church leader said the Prince told them, "It's not about me, it's about Jehovah." That belief changed his music too. He changed the words to some songs. He stopped performing songs that didn't fit with his new beliefs. He let go of being famous so he could follow his faith. 12. Tammy Faye's final gift. Before she died in 2007, Tammy Faye Messner was already known by many people. They remembered her big makeup, her tears, the scandals, and her broken marriage. But after she passed away, something else came to light. It was something even stronger than her voice or her fame. Tammy left behind letters and journals that no one had seen before. Inside, she wrote prayers, but they weren't just any prayers. She wrote down names, people who hurt her, lied about her, or made fun of her. Next to every name, she wrote the same words: "I forgive them." This wasn't a sign of weakness, it showed her strength. Tammy didn't pretend bad things didn't happen, she just chose not to stay angry. Over and over again, she forgave. She sent letters to old friends who left her when things got tough. She prayed for people who said mean things about her in public. In one journal, she wrote, "Father, they only saw the outside. Help them see you." People who knew her said she cared more about being kind than being right. She didn't turn away from people others ignored. When some churches pushed away the LGBTQ community, Tammy welcomed them. She didn't do this to get praise. In fact, she lost fans and chances to speak because of it. But she didn't stop. She believed faith wasn't just about going to church. It was about how you treat people who are different from you. 13. The quiet power of Chadwick Boseman. Before the world knew about his sickness or his death, Chadwick Boseman was already making a big impact. On screen, he played heroes, kings, and legends. Off screen, he lived a quiet, strong life. He didn't care about fame. He cared about doing what was right. When people looked at Chadwick, they saw a star. But the people who worked with him saw more. Before filming, Chadwick would find a quiet spot. He would bow his head and pray. Sometimes he read from an old Bible. He gave Bible verses to others, written on little pieces of paper. He didn't do it for attention. He did it to share hope. His co-stars talked about how calm and focused he always was. He didn't ask for respect. He earned it. Letitia Wright and Lupita Nyong'o said he lived what he believed. He made the people around him feel peaceful. On hard days, he gave people strength. On good days, he gave thanks. What most people didn't know was that he had colon cancer for 4 years. No one on set knew. While his body was weak, his spirit stayed strong. He helped others. He sent out prayers and devotionals. He even made time for prayer during busy filming days. He didn't just say Bible words, he lived them. He showed kindness, patience, and meaning every single day. One assistant director said she found a note from Chadwick during a hard shoot. It had one sentence from Proverbs, no name on it, just words of hope. That was how Chadwick worked, quietly, with heart. 14. A simple life of faith. He didn't want fame. Rich Mullins didn't care about the spotlight. Even though thousands loved his songs, the music was just one small part of who he was. After he died in 1997, people started to learn how special his life really was. Rich was a famous musician, but he didn't live like one. He didn't own a big house or ride in fancy tour buses. He lived in a small trailer on a Navajo reservation, far from the big music cities. He gave control of all his money to an accountant. That person gave him only enough money to live like a regular worker. Rich didn't even know how much he made. He believed that money should not be important for someone who follows Jesus. After he passed away, many stories came out. Rich had given money to schools, churches, and families, all without telling anyone. He didn't want people to clap for him. He wanted to help others quietly. On tour, he slept on floors. If a kid needed shoes, he bought them. If someone needed music lessons, he gave them for free. No cameras, no news stories, just kindness. Some people thought he was strange, but his friends knew he was honest and brave. He believed that Jesus had no home, so he chose to live the same way. After his death, people found his journals. 15. A heart full of gospel. People called Elvis Presley the king. But when the lights went out and the fans went home, Elvis looked for something more. Before he became a star, he was a young boy in Mississippi, singing gospel music in small churches. He never forgot that music. He kept it close to his heart. When Elvis died in 1977, people started to learn more about him. They found Bibles full of notes in his handwriting. Inside his home, gospel records were everywhere. Late at night, he would play them for hours. He wasn't just listening, he was searching for peace. After he died, private recordings were found. In them, Elvis is at the piano, singing hymns. His voice sounds tired and rough. He stops sometimes to whisper a prayer. These songs weren't for fans. They were for himself. In one Bible, Romans 8 was circled. Next to it, Elvis wrote, "This is truth." As he got older and his health got worse, his music changed too. His last performance wasn't a gospel song, but it still had deep meaning. He sang like someone reaching beyond pain, beyond the stage. Some say he was planning a gospel album before he died. Maybe he never stopped wanting to go back to those church songs. Maybe Elvis didn't really want a throne. He wanted peace. 16. The letters Keith Green hid from the world. When Keith Green died in a plane crash in 1982, many people were sad. He was a famous Christian singer who sang with passion. But after he died, his wife Melody found something surprising. She found letters, lots of them. But they weren't for fans, or even for her. They were written to God. These letters were not songs. They were honest notes full of worry, hope, and truth. Keith wrote about his fear of becoming proud. He didn't want fame to take him away from God. His handwriting was messy, but his words were strong. He said things like, "Don't let me win if I lose you." Another letter said, "Take away anything in me that isn't yours." He wrote on hotel papers, bus scraps, even napkins. These pages showed a man who didn't care about being a star. He wanted to stay close to God more than anything. When others read the letters, they saw a new side of Keith. He looked brave on stage, but he had battles in his heart. The same things he warned people about, he was fighting too. He died when he was only 28, but his words felt much older. He didn't care about fans or fame. He just wanted to stay real, to never fake it. 17. Della Reese walked off the set and into the pulpit. She played an angel on TV. Della Reese kept being one when the camera stopped. Most people knew her as Tess from Touched by an Angel, but she was also a pastor. She started a church in Los Angeles. She didn't do it for fame. She did it to help real people. She preached every week. She visited hospitals. She gave money to people who needed it. She paid for funerals and college and never told anyone. After she died in 2017, stories came out. One woman said Della paid her rent when she lost her job. A young man said she gave him a Bible and said, "Don't give up before his surgery." She never wanted a thank you. Even when she felt sick, she still preached. Sometimes she had to sit down. But her words still had power. She had lived through pain, and that made her words real. After her death, letters came to her church from strangers and friends. People said her prayers helped them. 18. The Midnight Hymns of George Beverly Shea. He died at 104. George Beverly Shea sang for big crowds with Billy Graham. But after he died, his family found something special. In boxes and drawers, they found notebooks full of songs. Shea said God gave him ideas in dreams. He called them night whispers. Almost every night, he would wake up with a tune in his head. He kept a notepad and pencil by his bed. Some songs became famous, like "I'd Rather Have Jesus." Others stayed secret. He never rushed. He would write a line and wait years for more. He didn't think the songs were his. He believed they were gifts from God. After he died, people saw his songs in a new way. They weren't just music, they were prayers from the night. His gift wasn't just his voice, it was his quiet heart, always listening. 19. Brittany Murphy's quiet change. She was known for her big smile, soft voice, and fun energy in movies. Brittany Murphy was a beloved actress. When she died in 2009, many people were surprised, but something important was happening in her heart that few people saw. In her last months, Brittany moved away from Hollywood. Friends said she was reading books about faith, watching church videos, and going to church more often. She wanted to start fresh, not for fame, but for herself. She even got baptized quietly. No news, no cameras, just water, faith, and a quiet hope. People close to her said she talked a lot about grace. She believed in second chances. She wanted to do something good with her life. She was no longer looking for fame. She was looking for peace. After she passed, things became clearer. She wasn't lost. She was searching for something deep and true. Her last days weren't about the end. They were about a new beginning. Even though she left too soon, she left a quiet message. Some of the best stories are told in silence. 20. Paul Walker's quiet kindness. He was famous for fast cars in movies. Paul Walker lived with quiet kindness. When he died in 2013, fans remembered the actor. But there was more to his story. One day in a small jewelry shop, a young couple was looking at rings. Paul saw them. They didn't know who he was. He didn't say anything. He just paid for the ring and left. The couple only found out after he was gone. This wasn't the only time Paul helped someone. Stories came out about him sending help after disasters, flying to help people, and working hard behind the scenes. He didn't just give money. He packed boxes. He prayed with people. He showed up. People who knew Paul said his faith guided him. He read the Bible and talked about helping others. He didn't make big speeches. He didn't want praise. But when someone needed help, Paul was already there. His kindness wasn't loud. It was quiet and steady, like a heartbeat. After he passed, his good deeds came to light. One ring, one prayer, one small act of love at a time.